Hey, and we're back again.
It's the Horror Guys.
I'm Brian.
And I'm Kevin.
And we've got, well, how many movies?
We have 4 movies.
And a short.
And a short.
Just like last week.
Yeah.
But you'd almost think that was our pattern.
Different ones.
Oh, that would be really boring if we did the same movies twice in a row.
Oh, just think how we would know them inside and out, though.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about any movies that we've already talked about, have we?
Every subtle nuance.
Like Halloween?
Halloween. Again. Deja vu.
Yeah, this week we're watching Halloween from 2007.
The Rob Zombie version.
The new version of Halloween.
The reboot of the original.
Yeah, what else?
By coincidence, we've got Ethan Hawke week because he is in The Black Phone, which is technically a 2021 movie, but out this year.
Delayed
release, yeah. And we also have him in Sinister from 2012. And we have an Argentinian movie, Sinister. No, I mean Terrified.
Sinister is not from Argentina.
Terrified from 2017.
Yeah.
Aterrados. A subtitled, not English movie.
Is that one on Shudder?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you can find it on Shudder.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and if you go over to horrorbulletin.com, you can read our 2 bonus reviews this week. And,
about books.
We've been slacking them because we haven't picked 2 bonus movies this week.
Uh-oh.
So stop on over to Horror Bulletin and see what they are. It's a mystery.
They're surprise bonus movies.
Yes, and as Kevin mentioned, we do have books. Go to horrorguys.com/books. Pick up some of our nonfiction horror books. We've got things like The Horror Guy's Guide to the Films of Vincent Price, The Horror Guy's Guide to the Hammer horror films, The Horror Guy's Guide to the Silent Age of films. And, of course, if you go to horrorguys.com/monthly, you can pick up all our reviews in the printed manual. Printed magazine every month of all our reviews.
That's a lot of reviews.
I'm in the process right now of putting together the August edition. And it's got a cool cover. They all have cool covers.
You should put, like, all 180 episodes worth of reviews in, like, one book, just to see how big it is.
I did the math on that one time.
Mammoth volume.
It would be like 1,200 pages or something like that. It would, it's a bigger book than you can hold.
And call it Edition 1.
Omnibus, yes. Probably not going to happen.
Okay.
We got the website for that.
Okay.
Because if you go to horrorguys.com, you can read
everything.
Well, all the ones for the podcast.
And there's nice tags, and you can search, and it's a very nice website, if I do say so myself, even though I didn't do it.
Very civilized and unhorrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, well, that takes us to our first movie, which is...
Halloween 2007 by Rob Zombie.
Oh, all right.
That wasn't going to be the first movie?
Yeah, it was. I'm just disappointed to even talk about this one.
Well... Yeah, directed by Rob Zombie, written by Rob Zombie, John Carpenter, and Deborah Hill.
Well,
Deborah
Hill and John Carpenter made the characters.
And,
they had nothing to do with this.
And John Carpenter basically, I think, said, make it yours.
Yeah, I am done with this.
Gave it his blessing.
Off of it.
Rob, do what you want to with it. And he did. Stars Scout Taylor Compton, Malcolm McDowell, Tyler Main, and Brad Dourif.
And it has a whole bunch of other familiar faces in it of people you've seen before, Danny Trejo and many other horror-related people, not in starring roles.
Runtime is 1 hour and 49 minutes, and there's a trailer on YouTube.
There is.
So.
Poster here, Evil Has a Destiny.
Uh-huh.
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Well, it has a history, apparently.
Yeah. Well, spoiler-free... It emphasizes too much on Michael as a crazy kid, and then he grows up to be a big crazy man. There's little mystery, since they swapped out the hints of supernatural to blatant insanity. I mean, it's a decent remake. It's entertaining and watchable in its own right, but it's not as good as the original, and it was totally unnecessary. I think I would have rather seen Rob Zombie make something fresh and new rather than
Halloween
remake.
9. I mean, continue with the main series, the real series.
Yeah, well, he wanted his own take, though. I guess he got it.
Have Michael Myers go to a different city. Hey, it worked for Jason.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, originally he wanted to do the entire film as a prequel with Michael as a child in the asylum.
And I'm
The
so glad he
asylum
didn't do
years.
that. Yeah.
I don't know. It might have been all right. But yeah. What we got? Eh. Well, we're in Haddonfield on, believe it or not,
On
October
Halloween?
31st.
There you go.
A little boy in a clown mask plays with his pet rat. Deborah Myers argues with her deadbeat husband, Ronnie, or boyfriend, I'm not quite sure. Well,
Husband.
Okay.
He was referred to as the kid's stepfather.
all right. Well, daughter Judith goes upstairs to bring down little Michael. Michael complains that his rat died and he had to flush it. And that rat was perfectly healthy a minute ago because we saw it. He was just cleaning blood off his hands in the bathroom sink.
Yeah, that rat did not meet a natural end.
No. Ronnie is a bullying jerk and he pulls the mask off Michael's face. He wears that damn thing way too much. At school, little Mikey gets bullied some more and cusses out the principal when he intervenes. The principal calls in his mother, as well as a psychologist, Dr. Loomis. The principal found a dead cat in Michael's locker, and loads of dead animal pictures in his stuff. That rat was not the first animal Michael has killed.
Or the cat.
Loomis warns that this sort of action is an early warning sign of bigger and deeper problems. Boy, was he right.
Yes, he sure was.
Michael overhears and runs away as he grabs the clown mask and the familiar theme music plays. Mike follows the bully home from school and gets his revenge. That kid ain't gonna bully nobody else.
No, he ain't.
The little masked killer beats him to death with a stick as the bully pleads for his life. At home later, Ronnie picks on Michael for killing cats. Judith was told to take Michael out trick-or-treating because Mom has to go to work. But Judith sends him away so he can have some alone time with her boyfriend. The boyfriend, of course, has a very familiar-looking mask on.
We've seen that mask before.
He wants to have sex wearing this mask, and you know what mask this is.
Uh-huh.
Michael goes home, eats some candy, pulls a knife out of the drawer, and kills Ronnie in his sleep. He had it coming.
Yeah, he kind of did.
Judith's boyfriend is next, and
He didn't have it coming. No.
Michael trades masks with the dead kid, and then kills Judith, wearing the now iconic white-faced mask. When Deborah finally gets home from work, she finds Michael sitting outside, alone and covered in blood. 11 months later, at Smith's Grove Sanitarium, Michael is admitted after being found guilty. Loomis starts treating Michael. He doesn't appear to remember what he did, and when his mother visits, he asks how everyone is at home. One of the orderlies, Max, tells Michael to start living inside his head to deal with being locked up. Michael starts to obsess on the construction of masks. He only takes them off when Deborah comes to visit, and eventually not even then, as he continues to get crazier and crazier. Michael deteriorates and starts acting out. He wants to be released, but Loomis says that isn't going to happen anytime soon. After a while, Loomis reports that there's nothing left here now. On her final visit, Deborah gives him a photo of him with his baby sister Lori. Actually, later, we find out her name's not Lori. As Deborah and Loomis talk outside, Michael kills a nurse. That night, Deborah goes home and kills herself.
This is not a happy movie.
No, there's not a lot happy here. 15 years later, Michael's still in the institution, and his room is now floor-to-ceiling in masks. You know, I'm not a serial killer, but I would love to have those masks.
Rehabilitation through art.
Michael has grown very tall. Max is still his orderly, and as he shows a new guard around, it's clear that he has some compassion for Michael and treats him with a lot of respect. The new guard, who has doomed written on his forehead, doesn't have any respect for the crazies. Michael hasn't spoken in all those years, and Loomis is moving on. He's given up helping Michael. Loomis has written a book about his experiences with the famous case of Michael Myers, and we see a scene of him addressing an audience about the case. So he's getting to be all famous psychiatrist. He's doing the whole
making money off
Dr. Phil thing.
Mm-hmm.
That night, the new guard and his cousin decide to have a good time and open up Michael's cell to bully him. They rape a girl in Michael.
Bad idea. And I said, bad idea. Don't do that. They didn't listen to me.
Why would they do that at all?
Why would they think it was a good idea?
I mean, if they want to rape the patient girl that they do, Why go into the biggest prisoner, the biggest psychopathic murdering prisoner in the place to do it?
Yeah. Drag her in there and do it in Michael's cell.
Yeah, well, they rape a girl in Michael's cell as he watches. Michael then kills them all. Don't know if he killed the girl. Didn't see that part, did we?
No.
Well, Max comes to work and finds a mess, and Michael walking around loose. He tries to put Michael back into his cell, but Michael brutally kills him and breaks out.
Yeah, that's something that I was trying to remember the next day, and I couldn't remember specifically if he did or not. I think he probably did.
We should assume, but we don't know.
Yeah, because he just kills everybody.
Loomis gets a phone call telling him that Michael has escaped. Michael goes to a truck washing place and kills a trucker for his green jumpsuit. Hey, that jumpsuit did look mighty familiar, didn't it?
It did, yeah. And there was going back to, there was read something in the making of, Rob Zombie debated, and there was some debate among him and his circle. Michael killing Max, who was a good guy and just doing his job and treated Michael nice, but
of all the people who die in this film, Max probably deserved it the least.
Deserved it the least, yeah. To whether have Michael kill him at all or not show it as brutally, but no, they wanted it to show. Rob wanted
there's no
Michael
compassion there
to show, that there's no compassion, there's no heart, there's no nothing in Michael. That he's just brutal.
Yeah,
and that demonstrated it. Yeah.
Well, back in Haddonfield, again on October 31st, Laurie Strode annoys her parents, Cynthia and Mason, and then walks to school with Tommy, the kid she babysits. Michael breaks into his old house and finds a knife and masks that he stashed 15 years ago. He also recovers his theme song, which plays ominously as he dons the mask. Not long after, Laurie spots Michael staring at her from across the street. How did he know to follow her?
Instinct.
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah.
Well, Loomis knows exactly where Michael is going, although the administration of the hospital denies it. Michael follows Laurie home from school. Loomis buys a gun and then hooks up with a sheriff who isn't convinced with Loomis's story. The hospital administrator is Udo Kier.
And was
in a very small role.
Underutilized, yeah.
Well, apparently he had more to do and they cut it.
Yeah.
And the other doctor there was Clint Howard.
Uh-huh.
The little ice cream man guy who plays so many different little twerds.
Yeah.
Both of them cut very small role.
Yeah, they did.
And of course, Max was Danny Trejo, and you see other relatively familiar faces throughout.
Recognizable faces. Yeah.
Laurie's friend Linda and her boyfriend are having a party on the empty house in their block, Michael's old house. He kills them both in a scene very similar to the one in the original film, where the so-called boyfriend is wearing a sheet over his head to look like a ghost.
Yep.
He then goes to Laurie's house and kills both her parents. Michael follows Annie and Lindsay, the girl she's babysitting, who are going to where Laurie and Tommy are at Tommy's house. So they're all shuffling houses around just to confuse things.
Yep.
Annie drops off Lindsay, so Laurie is babysitting them both, then goes off to spend time with her boyfriend. The sheriff thinks Loomis is just trying to create hype for his book, but Loomis tells him of the pure evil inside Michael, which really didn't portray it anywhere near as well as Donald Pleasance did.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was one of my biggest complaints with Malcolm McDowell in this.
He's too rational and too calm.
Yeah, he is.
Too professional. Yeah. Yeah, Loomis was obsessed.
Well, supposedly McDowell did not see the original Halloween, ever.
Yeah.
So he had nothing to compare with.
Uh-huh, yeah.
I think that's probably not a good...
was more over the top about it, I think.
I loved me some Malcolm McDowell, but Donald Pleasance was way better in this role.
Yes.
The sheriff does call the Strode house, but of course no one answers because they're all dead. And Michael is next door, going after Annie and her boyfriend. Laurie walks Lindsay home and finds Annie, who still isn't quite dead yet. As Laurie calls 911, Michael comes up behind her. The sheriff and Loomis are notified of the call via radio and head that way. Laurie runs down the street with Michael right behind her. She goes back to Tommy's house, but Michael breaks in and pursues her and the kids. So yeah, with the exception of all the prequel stuff, it's pretty much like the original movie.
Mm-hmm.
The two police officers arrive, but they don't live long. One of them does manage to shoot Michael, but it doesn't even slow him down. Michael grabs Laurie and carries her home to his place. Tommy and Lindsay run into Dr. Loomis on the street and tell him what happened. Laurie wakes up next to Linda's dead body. Michael shows Laurie the baby photo of the two of them, but she doesn't remember any of that or have any idea who he is. She grabs the knife and stabs Michael and gets out. He catches up and is about to finish her off when Loomis shows up and shoots him 3 more times. Loomis leads Laurie to the police car. Michael breaks into the car and grabs her once again, with Loomis in pursuit. Loomis begs Michael to take him instead, and Michael does, bashing his head. And he certainly looks dead to me.
But he's not.
Laurie takes Loomis's gun, and we see that Loomis isn't actually dead yet. I like that, when he's attacking Loomis and squeezing his head and the blood's running out his eyes. And then the next scene you see Loomis and his face is all clean.
Yeah, that's actually listed as a goof.
Oops.
Yeah, same movie goof, yeah.
Well, Michael charges at Laurie, and they both go out the upstairs window. She wakes up first and finds out that her gun does still work. She shoots Michael in the head.
So,
boom.
Done. Never back again.
So just for talking for the sequel at this point, Michael has been shot 3 times by Loomis, once by the cops, once directly in the head by Laurie. Laurie stabbed him. He fell out an upstairs window, and it had many other, minor combat scrapes.
He's a tough guy.
There's no way he's going to come back without supernatural ability, right?
Nope.
Well, there's a Halloween 2.
Yeah, there is, and we've seen that. Spoiler.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's coming soon.
All right, so young Michael talks in this one, which is the first time in 9 films that Michael actually says anything. We get a lot of time in the asylum seeing that Michael is just a kid with mental problems. A severe case, but basically a normal, insane kid. I mean, there's nothing particularly unusual about any of this childhood stuff.
He's very crazy.
He is, but I mean, there are kids that are like that. I mean, he's not supernatural. I guess this makes it all more realistic, but mental illness isn't particularly fun to watch. But the almost supernatural evil of the original made for a much better villain. You didn't know anything about him. He was just a killing machine.
Yeah.
This is a disturbed little boy who grew up to be a crazy man. The whole point of this reboot seems to be to humanize Michael and make him more realistic. Michael gets shot 4 times and stabbed once and keeps on going, so I don't know how realistic that is. I'm not sure that anyone wanted it or needed it, but it is an interesting attempt at a relaunch. There was a sequel, which we'll be looking at next week, but this timeline was fairly short-lived. Malcolm McDowell is a skilled actor for Dr. Loomis. I don't keep wanting to call him Donald Loomis.
No, that's not right.
But Donald Pleasance had a desperate, almost insane quality about his performance that made Loomis feel almost as unhinged as Michael. And that's just it. Nobody believed him in the original because he was so upset and unhinged.
Yes, he was.
Certainly obsessed and a little over the top, McDowell is completely rational and professional here. Taylor Scout Compton is fine as a scream queen in training. She's no Jamie Lee Curtis. Tyler Mane as Michael is just huge. The biggest actor to play Michael so far, and he really is intimidating. Yeah, normally Michael's just a normal guy in the outfit and the mask. But
on the big side, but
big
this
here.
guy's really big. Yeah.
This guy would be scary just walking in the room without the mask.
Yes.
As a standalone slasher film, this is really pretty good. It's well made. It's got good production values. But as a reboot of the Halloween franchise, yeah.
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 And our next film is 2012's Sinister. Directed and written by Scott Derrickson, also written by C. Robert Cargill. Stars Ethan Hawke, Juliette Rylance, and James Ranson. Hour and 50 minutes.
Trailer in the show notes.
You betcha. Had you seen this before?
I had, yes.
I thought I had, but I sure didn't remember any of it the second time through, if I did.
Okay.
So I have kind of forgotten about this. So this was almost like my first watch. Well, spoiler free, there's a guy who finds some movies, and the movies are sort of cursed.
Literally found footage, because he finds them.
He does, yeah. What happens?
Well, we watch old grainy footage of an entire family being hanged, and then credits roll.
And it's kind of a weird hanging. They go out in their backyard, and they all put nooses on 4 of them in a row, and then there's this tree branch that suddenly...
Well, we didn't see... No, we just saw them standing there. They were...
No, No. We saw the whole tree branch fall.
Oh, yeah, but they didn't voluntarily do that. They weren't hanging themselves.
We didn't see what happened. We just saw them hanging there.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't see the setup.
But the ropes from all four necks go up over a branch down to this big branch. And the branch just sort of breaks or something.
It's
falls
it's
hangs
counterweighted, and so this heavy branch falls, and that pulls all four nooses up at once.
Kind of an ingenious little contraption there, but you don't actually see what made it all happen.
And it's old and grainy, and yeah.
Yeah, this is not current.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's credits. And then a family is moving into their new home, and the sheriff drives up to talk to the husband. The sheriff wants them all to move out now, right now. Ellison,
of course, this is a horror movie, so we're assuming because he knows that bad things happen in this house, but that's not it.
Yeah, that's not completely it, no. Ellison, the dad, wrote a true crime book that was very anti-cop, and so he's not popular with the men in blue. And he's here to investigate a missing girl and the dead family for his new book. But the sheriff believes that girl is dead and says, just get out of town, give it up. Like they have. No. Wife Tracy asks, we didn't just move into a house a few houses down from a crime scene, did we? Ellison says, no. He's technically telling the truth. We see the hanging tree in their backyard.
He moved a couple doors down.
He moved into the actual house where they lived. Well, while putting stuff in the attic, Ellison finds some old film reels, like the 9mm stuff. Later, setting up a crazy wall in his office, research wall, all the pinpoints of all the things about the case.
But it's one of those walls of maps.
Yeah,
and
but
stuff.
there's a lot of photos and stuff about the case that he's gathered, and he's got it all up on the wall. You know how they do that. Well, he finds a photo of the attic, and it was empty before they moved in. Well, where'd those films come from then? So he decides to watch some, and we see a family doing family things until at least he gets to the part about the hanging. Well, who made this film? Stephanie, the missing girl, is not in the film. Maybe it was her. He watches a second film where a different family is all chained up in their car, which somebody sets on fire, and they all burn to death. Well, he starts to call the police, but changes his mind. This is great stuff for the book, he's thinking, probably. Yeah. Well, there are other films that are all similar in nature, and he sees a demon-looking face in one of them. His son Trevor has night terrors, which involves a lot of screaming. And the next morning, Trevor doesn't remember any of it. Trevor finds out about the hanging family the next day at school, and Tracy is not amused, to say the least. They have a bit of a fight over it. Well, Ellison watches more of the movies in his office. Each one of the murders has one missing child involved.
The whole family is killed except for one person that goes missing.
Uh-huh. Ellison hears something up in the attic, but he can't find anything except a big snake and drawings of Mr. Boogie. The drawings all represent the deaths in the movie. They're like cartoon drawings by a kid, crayon drawings. And then he falls through the attic floor. Ouch, painfully. After the ambulance leaves, the deputy offers to help Ellison with his research.
What's the deputy's name?
What's his name? Like literally.
Deputy so-and-so.
So-and-so, Deputy so-and-so, yeah. Well, the deputy, it's funny, it's a funny conversation because, in all your books, you always have one person from law enforcement that you give special thanks to, who really helped you out, and, I could be that guy. And he's like, okay, Deputy so-and-so, here's what you can do for me. Look these things up, and, puts him to work researching. Well, he asks about the other murders, and deputy says he'll look into it, because he can. He's got the police records. Well, that night, Trevor is out sleepwalking again.
Their oldest son, their son.
Yeah, their son. Yeah, the night terror kid. Tracy blames everything on Ellison. He's already a mess and drinking too much, and the book is barely getting started. Well, the deputy turns up some information, and Ellison shares a little back with him. And he calls Professor Jonas, an occult expert, who explains the symbol on the walls of the victims is the symbol of a pagan deity, Bagul, eater of children. And he's thinking, Ellison's like, eater of children? Is like, well, and the guy's like, well, not really, literally.
This is all just mythology. Don't take it seriously.
There's not really missing children, are there? And like, well, yeah, there are. Okay. So that night, Ellison wakes up to find the films are playing themselves, so something is in the house following him around. The deputy starts to think that Ellison is overstressed, and so he says there's no way he'd ever sleep in this house. Ellison is definitely getting paranoid, but he's not necessarily wrong. Daughter Ashley starts talking to Stephanie, the missing girl from the hanging family, and this starts another huge fight between Ellison and Tracy. That night, Ellison goes up into the attic again, and he sees all the missing dead children watching a video of Bughuul. Ellison is really freaked out and burns the films and the projector in the backyard grill. He decides Tracy was right, they just need to leave the house tonight. They grab the kids, pack up a few things, and drive back to their old house. And they do pass a speed trap and get pulled over, and we're thinking this is a bad combination. He's been drinking, too, and the sheriff's
He's been drinking. The sheriff hates him.
The sheriff hates him. Well, it is the sheriff, but when he hears they're leaving town, he lets them go. So,
which was kind of surprising.
Yeah.
I expected more trouble.
But, yeah, good riddance, the sheriff says, basically. Well, the next day, they're back in their old house. Professor Jonas calls back with more information. Apparently, images of Bughuul can summon him. The pictures are a gateway. And maybe movies, too.
And he's got pictures.
That night, Ellison goes up to the movie at his house, his old house, and finds, hey, the films and the projector are back. Yikes. And these are extended cut endings. So Ellison, of course, has to watch them. The deputy calls with still more information. Turns out each murdered family lived in the house of the previous murdered family. And guess who lived in one of those houses most recently?
Them.
Ellison and his family are in the chain. Yeah. The new films all include the missing children doing the murdering of the families before they vanish. They're the ones filming and setting it all up. And Ellison passes out, and he's been drugged by his daughter Ashley.
Uh-oh.
Yep. He wakes up tied and gagged on the floor next to Tracy. Ashley's making a movie of them lying there with her own little Super 8 camera, and then she joins the other missing children on the film, and the family dies. And now there's one more film in the box of reels.
Wow.
Yeah.
This movie needs a sequel or 4.
Oh, you're lucky.
It's a really dark film to look at. It makes liberal use of jump scares. There are a lot of jump scares. There's a lot of loud bangs and jumping and people standing behind others, so if you don't like jump scares, you might not like this one.
It's a tense movie.
It's more about uncovering the mystery than it is about the monster, at least at first. Realistically, there is no practical monster. It's the kids that have done the murders.
But there is a monster influence in them.
Yeah, they are influenced.
Some kind of demon.
The acting is all excellent, and the characters all act appropriately for the most part. No one in this household seems to know how to turn on a light bulb, though. And that just seems unrealistic considering the circumstances. Just like last week with Paranormal Activity. Quit walking around in the dark in what you know is a haunted house. Turn on the freaking lights at night. It's not a rule. It's not a law. You are not going to go to jail for sleeping with the lights on.
You're allowed to do that.
It's very good, but it's also very tense and very dark. If we watched it in the daytime, and there were some scenes that were a little hard to see.
But it was all very good.
We both liked it,
the
yes.
kids, good kid actors.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah.
And this week for our short film, we have one called Death in Charge, released this year. Written and directed by Devi Snively, stars Martha Benedict, Gillian Schur, and Kylie Chalfa. 14 minutes and 54 seconds. We have a link to watch it in the show notes. And what'd you think?
Well, I really liked this one.
I really liked this one, too.
I thought it was great. Well, Debbie and Brad are making out, and she ends up dead. She trips getting out of the car, and someone crosses an item off a to-do list. Cause of death, carelessness, as she crosses out the list. It's Death herself.
Death has a to-do list.
Death then heads over to the next job, an annoying mother who mistakes Death for the babysitter, and things spiral from there.
Yeah, maybe if it was Halloween, you'd take somebody in a black cloak with a scythe as your babysitter.
No, she's
probably
just,
not on your general
goth.
Tuesday night or whatever.
Yeah. It takes a while, but the next item off the list gets eventually marked off.
Yeah, this one's really good.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
a couple of quotes here. Definitely goth.
Yeah. Little girl, want to play blood spattered corpse orgy? No rules.
She's not goth, but she plays blood-spattered corpse orgy.
Yeah, I never had a babysitter half that entertaining. But remember, if death, she comes to your house, there's always a reason.
There's always a reason.
Yeah,
you might be number 17 on the list.
She might hang out with you for a while, but she's there doing her job.
Yeah. What's next?
Terrified, a 2007 foreign film that we
2017.
2017, yes, that we really liked. Directed by Demian Rugna, also written by Demian Rugna. Stars Maximilian Gione, Norberto Gonzalo, and Elvira Oneto.
I just wanted to see how you do those names.
Runtime is 1 hour and 27 minutes. There's a trailer on YouTube. This is subtitled.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I had never heard about this until about a week ago, and so we watched it. And now it's all over the interwebs with people reviewing. It just came to Shudder, and I guess it's exploding. It's really good.
And well-deserved, yeah. This is a brilliant one. Well-written, perfectly cast, with excellent special effects. The story jumps around in time a little bit, in time and place, to make it extra interesting. It's subtitled, and well worth the read and the watch.
Yeah, we both liked this one.
And we're going to sound the spoiler horn on this one, too.
I would recommend watching... Put us on pause. Go watch Terrified, and then come back.
Are we going to spoil it all like this? I feel guilty spoiling it
All right.
Well, maybe go easy on
We'll go easy
Go
on
easy
it.
on the nice
Yeah,
people.
we'll cover the first 20 minutes or so, probably.
Yeah.
A woman does the dishes, but hears something under the sink. Or is it coming from the drain? She cancels dinner because she hears voices in the kitchen. Her husband listens in and doesn't hear any voices. She says the voices say they're going to kill her. Credits roll. Later that night, her husband hears knocking inside the walls. Juan thinks it's Walter, the neighbor, but when he goes over there, there's no answer at Walter's place. He goes back inside and thinks maybe Clara is doing the banging. Spoiler, she is.
She is doing the banging.
The next morning, he's under interrogation as he tries to explain that he didn't really brutally murder Clara. Surprisingly, they say they believe him.
That so surprised me how that scene went. Because I thought, he's going to be...
He's going to jail for murdering her.
Yeah, and they're immediately like, tell us what happened and how, well, we kind of believe you. And
another one.
There's other weird things going on, and we'd like to hear about yours. What?
Yeah, there was an identical case in America back in 1998. So then we flash back to Walter, who pleads to Dr. Albrecht's office on the phone that he's having some weird problems at home. The woman in her office says the doctor isn't available. He goes home, and he too hears sounds in the pipes. As soon as he gets to sleep, his bed starts moving. There's something in his room, as he hides under the covers. I mean, the thing standing at the foot of the bed, I'm like, he's going to hide under the covers, isn't he?
And he did.
And he does.
It worked, though. Kept him safe.
As soon as he gets to sleep, his bed starts moving, yes. In the morning, he calls the doctor again, but again, the doctor refuses his case. That night, he sets up a video camera in his bedroom. He wants proof of what's been going on, and he gets his proof. There is literally a monster in his closet. Where did it come from before the closet? Under the bed.
Yikes.
He gets a gun and opens the door, but there's no one in there. Oh, wait. Yeah, okay, there is someone in there. Walter screams.
Yeah, and this happened before the opening scene.
Yeah, we're kind of going backwards.
Yeah.
Then we go back a little bit further. A little boy gets hit by a bus in front of the house, and Juan and Clara go to investigate. It's their friend Alicia's son. And now the police are starting to get involved. Remember, we're back in time from that opening scene. This is before that.
Right.
Llano gets a call from Funes. We recognize him as one of the investigators that we saw earlier. He's calling because of the accident. Meanwhile, Alicia starts hearing banging in the pipes.
It starts in the pipes.
The police called Llano and Funes about the condition they found Alicia in. There are little boy footprints all over the house, and there's the dead kid sitting at the table.
Oh, my.
He's been dead 4 days. Funes thinks he saw the decomposing child move at one point. His hands are all torn up from clawing his way out of the grave. It could be a case of body snatching, but he doesn't really think so. While they're not watching, the child spills his milk on the table. Llano suggests just burying the body and not telling anyone. because nobody's going to believe them anyway. And Alicia might be arrested. And I think we'll probably stop there. Mm-hmm. That's probably 20 minutes in. We're just getting started.
Shocking things happen and creepy things happen. And this one's just really good.
Okay, commentary here. It's really good, and you don't know where it's going, but it's got weirdness galore. The characters are all played realistically. The music and sound is good. It looks fantastic. And the creatures, and there are creatures, are unique. There are lots of jump scares, but there's lots of just genuine creepiness, too. It's all good, and I liked it a lot.
I think it's my favorite of the week. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you liked the next one better.
I liked it a lot, but yeah, I think
Terrified is better.
I think I like Terrified a bit better.
All right.
Do you hear the phone ringing?
I don't. Oh, there's no phone here.
It must be my imagination.
You hear the phone ringing, though.
Oh, that disconnected phone on the wall. That's the one ringing.
That one.
It's the black phone, 2021.
I tune that one out anymore. It rings all the time.
They've been really advertising this a lot. I saw it advertised a lot.
You've seen the picture of the guy in the mask on Facebook and wherever else you go, because they have hyped this thing for years.
Well, it is directed by Scott Derrickson, written by Joe Hill, Scott Derrickson, and C. Robert Cargill. Stars Mason,
I don't know.
Thames
or Thames.
Yeah. Madeline McGraw and Ethan Hawke. Runtime is an hour and 43 minutes, and there's a trailer on YouTube.
Spoiler free. They took a very basic idea and dialed it up to 11 with supernatural elements. An excellent cast, including the kids, and a gripping script. Suspenseful and very good all around. And I have read other people's reviews on this. They were either very disappointed with it or they liked it a lot. There's very little middle ground here.
I liked it.
I
thought it was very effective.
If you're expecting a monster movie or that guy in the masks could do a lot of serial killer stuff,
it's not quite that.
It's not like that.
And yet it's not. Yeah, it's just not quite anything. It's other things. It's unexpected, and
it's a kind of a ghost story.
Kinda, yeah.
All right. Well, here comes the spoilers on this one, all the way through.
In Denver, 1978, we start at a baseball game. And, right away you could tell it was in the past because there's a close-up of a guy popping open a Coors with one of the pull tabs.
You couldn't be in the 70s without seeing those everywhere.
Yeah. Well, the pitcher, Finney, throws 2 strikes. But then the other player, Bruce, hits a home run, and this is kids, and then the game is over. Bruce sees a black van approaching him, and credits roll. With photos of newspapers declaring missing persons, lost child, and more, we see lots of missing person posters throughout the credits.
They're not just Bruce.
Mm-hmm. We see Finney and his little sister tiptoeing around to avoid their father's hangover. On the way to school, they spot flyers about Bruce. He's been gone for a while now. They spot 2 kids fighting, and the big one, Moose, isn't going to be getting up again on his own. Robin is the toughest kid at school now since the grabber got Vince Hopper, and even the papers call him the Grabber.
He's almost mythological at this point.
Mm-hmm. Now, Finney's afraid to say the kidnapper's name, like it's, Candyman.
Say it 3 times.
Say it 3 times in the mirror and he'll appear or something, but he's a little superstitious about it. After school, Finney is accosted by 3 bullies, and Robin comes in talking about having bloody knuckles, and the other 3 go away fast. Robin and Finney talk about watching the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
So, yeah, the kids in high school are seeing movies they're not supposed to.
Yep. Finney's sister, Gwen, gets called to the office to talk to the police. She had a dream about Bruce, that he was taken by a man in a black van with black balloons at the crime scene, and she told a friend about it, and the police heard about it. Well, they want to know how she knew about the balloons, since that was kept out of the papers. That was real.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, her father beats her when the police come to his work. I mean, he's PO'd because they came around asking him too. She's psychic like her mother, but her father denies it, tries to beat it out of her. Elsewhere, we see Robin walking home alone, and there's a black van in the background. Uh-oh. Well, Robin asks Gwen to do the dream thing, to do something to help his friend.
Finney, her brother.
Yes, Finney is gone. Robin is gone now. Finney asks Gwen, do the dream thing. She says it doesn't work that way. She can't do it on demand. It just happens. Well, the next morning, the police do come to talk to Gwen to see if she knows anything about Robin's disappearance. With Robin disappearing, the bullies are over Finney, all over Finney, until Gwen shows up and tries to defend him with rocks. And she really clobbers that one kid. After school that day, Vinny finds a strange man spilling groceries out of a black van, and Finney soon winds up in the back of the van.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting him to get abducted so fast. The grabber, wearing a strange new mask, explains that nothing bad is going to happen here once Finney wakes up.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, he's in a dark basement with a mattress and a toilet and a disconnected phone on the wall.
It's a black phone.
It's a black phone. Gwen and her father finally realize that Finney is missing and get the cops involved. And Finney hears the black phone ringing. But the grabber, in a different mask, says, no, that hasn't worked since he was a kid. The phone isn't even, or the cord isn't even connected anymore. He just, dismisses it. Static electricity or something makes it ring sometimes. And later the phone rings again, but Finney answers, and there are noises, but there's no one there. It's just kind of staticky. But the next time, Finney hears a voice. And we've decided we probably shouldn't spoil it more than that.
Yeah, that's probably good enough.
Yeah, because stuff happens, and it's really good. Really, really good. I thought. I liked it.
Well, the time period, 1978, looks about right. It's like they were trying to do Stranger Things, but keep it a little bit different. It's got school fights, child kidnappings, and ass whippings. So yeah, it's the 70s.
Yep.
I remember all that. The grabber has several very cool-looking masks in the same style, but all with different expressions.
And did you notice, too, they all expose. You see Ethan Hawke's entire face, but not all at once. Each one exposes a different
Sometimes
part.
you see his mouth, sometimes you see his eyes, yeah. And they are all really cool masks. It's pretty clear from the beginning that there's some supernatural stuff going on, but it definitely intensifies as the film progresses. Each of the missing dead kids helps out a little, telling Finney what he needs to escape. Mason Thames and Madeline McGraw as Finney and Gwen are great here, which is unusual for young actors. Ethan Hawke as the grabber is fine, but we hardly even see his face. Really, probably about anybody could have taken this role. Still, it was very good.
It was excellent.
Have you noticed in the last few years that child actors have gotten a lot better?
I have.
I think The Babadook was a turning point. People decided they hated kids in movies that were like that. And they've all seemed to have, gotten a little more sensible.
And there have been other movies out there that the kids were not that great, and they got a lot of backlash over that. I remember Don't Be Afraid of the Dark. That's one that got a lot of backlash.
But that's an older movie, too.
Well, older. I mean, no, the modern remake.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the modern. In the old one, the creatures are terrifying an adult woman, and in the remake, it's mainly a child, a little girl being terrified by the little creatures.
Okay.
And there are those who say she was kind of awful and annoying and, rooting for the creatures to get her rather than,
Yeah, that was from 2011.
But there have been other, they definitely have gotten better, I think. At
I suppose it depends on what the
people.
director's going for. Sometimes you want the kids to be annoying and die, and other times you don't.
But
I mean, here you're supposed
when you
to be
want them
rooting
to be
for
the
Finney
hero.
and Gwen.
Yes, and it worked. So,
All right.
So I guess if we're not going to spoil those shows, you can go to the website, and the full synopsis is there at the website.
Yeah. We've got the Black Phone has the full synopsis, and so does Terrified. We didn't really finish either of those on the podcast, but they're there if you want to read them.
Mm-hmm. And you should see them.
Yeah.
Both those.
All right, well, tune in for next week where we're going to have 4 more films and a short, and they're all pretty good too, I think.
Yeah.
Once we figure out what the bonus films are for this weekend, we'll be all set.
That's where I was going with that. What are the bonus films?
What are the films next week?
Don't know if those are good or not.
Oh, well, I'm Brian.
And I'm Kevin.
And we'll see you next week.
See ya.